Hi, welcome to Sports Mechanics YouTube channel. I'm Nicholas. Today, I'm in Corsica, one of the most beautiful places in the world. This little island is super pretty. To introduce you to the new MG EHS plug-in hybrid vehicle, evolution of this car, which will be a little bit more upscale as well, with a bigger battery, more autonomy, and even more power. We'll do a thorough test, examining the car's interior, exterior, and performance on various road types. We test the electric range. You'll see, we're going to be quite impressed by this car. And then, a little debrief at the end. We test in and challenge in hybrid as usual. All the features. Let's go for this test. Well, what is this new MG EHS? So, first of all, in terms of price MG, it remains always quite accessible cars. It starts from 37,990 euros for the standard version. The luxury version that I have today, it's at 39,990. So for a little bit more, you have even more options. We can have between the comfort version and the luxury options a 360 camera. We can have more speakers, a slightly evolved sound system, the electric trunk, the footstep. In short, quite a lot of things, but even the comfort version is already very, very well equipped. It's a vehicle that is 4 meters 67 long, 1 meter 89 wide, so a big baby, and 1 meter 66 high with its roof bars. Right here we have a ground clearance of 14.7 centimeters and a little bit lowered also because of the footstep on the side. A turning diameter of 11 meters 50 is quite accurate. It has a 55-liter gas tank. A weight around 1,850 kilos. It can tow 751, 1,123.1 pounds, depending on if the trailer is braked or not. But the specificity of this car is its engine, which is totally atypical. We have a 1.5 engine that takes up the same space as basically what we have on the MG3 Hybrid Plus or on the ZS Hybrid Plus. It's basically about the same engine, except that this time it is turbo with specific cooling, etc. to bring more power. But there are only 2 gears on the MG3 and ZS. There were 3 gears, so it starts at 60 there. This time it's basically just a 5th and 6th gear for the times when we're going to drive on the highway. Otherwise, there is an electric motor, but there is an electric generator coupled to this thermal engine that will also directly power this engine. It brings about 150 horsepower to transmit to this electric motor. When we are in 100% electric and we draw the energies from the battery, we have 184 horsepower in electric and 340 Newton meters of torque, which is rather good when we are in thermal. We have 143 horsepower and 230 Newton meters of torque, and we are at 272 in total. But the total will rarely be used, as will either be an electric, thermal, or a combination of both. We will never reach 262 horsepower, but in specific phases on the highway, we may achieve around 184 horsepower. In electric, it's still enough. Normally, for everyday use, we have a 0 to 100 that is still done in 6 seconds. 8, which is quite correct when we have accumulated between electric and thermal. Since there is a phase around 60 to 70 kilometers per hour where we will see full power, otherwise we can do it in 100% electric, we will see a 0 to 100 in ALEC maximum speed. 190 kilometers per hour for this toy. And we have a big battery. We have a battery of 21.4 kilowatt hours, 3.5 hours for the charge. And we have a 7 kilowatt plug at the back. Here they announced 62 miles in 100% electric mode. We'll see how it performs on Corsica's narrow, hilly roads. You know me, I like testing electric ranges, hoping for minimal rain and enough daylight to complete the test. On the front part, we can see it here, we have lines that are a little bit stretched, which lead us to the MG logo. It maybe even reminds me of Skoda, with this part that comes at the level of the logo, here. Camera on top, since we still have level 2 driving aids. So basically, lane centering, adaptive cruise control, limiter, etc. We have that on almost all cars these days, even on the standard version. Under the hood, you can see a 1.5-liter engine, and the battery is located at the back. We go down, we have these very nice light blocks that are refined, and above all, the parts inside are ultra designed. I love seeing beautiful pieces like this. My favorites were those of the DS7 that went back inside, which were super sexy. Here, the work is really nice. So, we can see the LED light blocks, 100% LED. We can see on the ends here, the lights for the night and the daytime running lights here. With this little signature, with the 3 little dots that will appear in people's rearview mirror. We have a long strip here, which widens the car a bit. The more horizontal lines we put, the more it sets the car, and we see it, so it's well extended on each side. The fake air intakes are just for aesthetics. Air curtains could have been used, but aerodynamically, it performed well without them. And then this grille, so it's full on the ends and full of little facets. Here, a bit like a mirror, quite pretty, everything is painted, no visible raw plastic. We have evolving finishes. Even on the ZS, which was starting at 19,000 euros, if I'm not mistaken, no, it's a little bit more expensive. It's the MG3 that is at that price. But anyway, on all finishes now, even the entry-level ones, they do nice exterior finishes with the blade painted, driving aid sensors, a front camera and cameras under the mirrors due to the camera pack. 360 to have more practical parking simultaneously. We have proximity sensors that provide the distance to the wall, which is useful when parking at the front and back. On the side, we still have a long car, 4 meters, 67, that makes it a big baby.
I like the way it's designed on the top, this kind of a little bit cut here, it's pretty nice.
Some slightly worked shapes on the back, between this part that ends with this little line. At the same time, it's not at the end of the window, so I like it. There's work to be done, the roof bar's up there, and this little spoiler here, likewise also quite worked on. Black surround on the bottom, same, it's gone black, the mirror's in black, with the cameras, as I was saying, that there, which is quite nice. And it feels like they might have wanted to put a camera here, given how it's finished. So I don't know if it's to put a camera in the future maybe, or if it also affects the aerodynamics. Then quite simple doors. A strip there and a carbon imitation at the bottom here, then black part and the running board. So running board, it's more for style. It might help a little bit for older people to get into this car. We have 19-inch rims on all versions. We have tires here that are Bridgestone. We'll talk about it on the road because I'm not a big fan of these tires. Fridge type handle. On one side, we put 55 liters of gasoline. The recharge hatch is on the other side. A bit worked on. The wheel arches as well, which are not made of raw plastic. Great, we look neither too rugged nor too low end. We have a luxury version, so everything is painted and the small finish is a bit carbon imitation. Here, it's not real carbon, but it brings small touches, this, but in the end, to the eye, it's quite flattering. A little 3/4 rear shot. We can already see this long LED light strip that crosses the car, its worked shapes, its well-rounded hips. And we see that it really stands out even at the level of the rear handle, which is inclined a little bit like this to really widen this rear, and we'll see what it gives at the trunk level. Then we have 10 centimeters more than before also for the rear passengers. It should be much more pleasant. And the same here, it's a worked shape. Here, it doesn't touch, it's in 2 parts, still a kind of carbon that goes around. In short, the designers did a good job, I like it. What do you think? Pretty cool, full back, it's a bit more upright. We have this part here which is very inclined. The spoiler here, the small nozzle for the windshield wiper, a single window, it's nice. Then, this part here, that goes down. Being a small spoiler here, it would have added a little extra touch, it would have been nice. The long light strip, the MG logo, the camera a little lower, and the license plate holder are all positioned in the middle, as I mentioned before. Rear is identical, fully painted, no exposed plastic. This carbon imitation, as I was telling you, the HS, with the plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, which is noted here for now. Only plug-in hybrid electric vehicle versions on this car. We have reflectors a little lower on the end. Same, the sensors here, proximity, and a rather well-made diffuser. I like it, frankly, it's not bad at the trunk level. We have the little touch here, next to the camera. So what bothers me is that they put something flat. And in fact, when we're going to put our hand, it feels like we're just a plastic cover. There's no feeling where you say, that's where I need to press. You have to know your car. Then, once you're used to it, it's like I've opened it 20 times. Today, we're getting used to it. The little button here to close, there to close by hand. The trunk offers 116 gallons of loading space. We still find a little bit of space here to store cables, for example. We have small nets on each side. The area here underneath, which we can remove quite easily. And when we fold everything down, almost 1,300 liters with 1,291 liters. Do you know me? There. It goes here without too much trouble. There is still space left. There, Nico goes without worry. I'll show you a little bit of the back seats because there too it's going to be quite interesting. What makes it a good family car where it starts to rain? I'll do it quickly so the camera doesn't get soaked in the back with foam and plastic. Everything here is quite nice, with a beautiful diamond finish. Here, integrated comes out of similarities also on the doors. We have something that is frankly nicer than some premium cars, even nowadays. And to the speaker there, you can everywhere. We had to the speaker. In this car, a large storage bin. Here, the step that comes to help me climb step, it is more that for the decoration. I don't have the impression that they are super solid. I come to close, my door is there. Look at the space that I have me. I measure 1 meter 80 G of the place to the head, to the knee. I have a huge space. I must have almost 20 centimeters. At the front, we have pockets on each side and an air conditioning in the center with 2 USB-A ports, not yet switched to USB-C. However, there is ample space even for the feet and knees. Again, you saw it's really very spacious. The windows, which are quite large, which go far. We have the ceiling light here, which can be in white. That's a free option. That's a good thing. We have a small central tunnel here, but it's not very high. It even allows me to put my feet at this spot. It won't bother me. An armrest that comes out of the middle there. It's pretty nice. It was brand new. The seatbelt is in the center, directly on the bench. The buckles are mounted on straps, which is a good setup. And the headrest? Slightly firmer at the front would be better. What does this middle seat give? So here, when I climb up here on my little central tunnel, it bends my legs much more. It's much harder. In terms of the backrest and seat, however, the side seats are really top with the small perforations. We have a good seat. We have a good welcome. It's rather nice. But on the other hand, look at me who wears a 44. Look at the space I still have at the foot level. That's rather good. A child will not feel too bad here. He will have room for his legs, so he might have some. More firmness in the seat and much more in the back. But actually, it's pretty good. It's starting to rain a lot. We're going to move to the front. There you go. Just for you. I'm going to brave wind and tide, the camera, so it doesn't get wet. So the tour of the car, because, you know, I like to do it for you. It really gives a completely different perspective when you see it in real life and turn to the... It's getting a little wet, pretty. I like it. This car is quite nice. You can clearly see the hips, curved with the contrasts of light. The line at the back, that it does make it look much more premium, and it's not bad at that price. Having all this, it's really not unreasonable. The handle, small fridge here and that. So I was telling you about the kind of line with a sort of thing that looks like a camera that could go fast. I'm going inside to wet the camera, and I'll give you the point of view from here. I have an electric seat, so it allows me to back up slowly like this. There we go. The interior at the door level, particularly at the back, is well finished with a foamy plastic material that appears to be overstitched. In fact, it's just printed directly into the plastic. The lock handle is right here. This thing here, it's a camera. Look at this. It's the small infrared LED that you can't see in real life, but the cameras can see. The new standard features a camera that constantly monitors my attention on the road and a large central rear-view mirror providing excellent rear-view visibility. Here, I don't know if the corners are a little bit good, if the corners seem to be a little bit bulging. We have a blind spot detector when we're driving here, so wait, I've left the windshield wipers. So we see the hood, the impression of being in a nice sport utility vehicle, which also gives me this feeling of strength at the front. A similar part where everything is foamed, that's still cool. It almost seems to be leather, but it's not, it's rather nice. The sensor here on the water will start from the top. Today holds mirror so central without edge. However, we have a day-night shift, which is to be done by oneself. Then we have the LEDs right here, the Save Our Souls button, the mirror with the letter that lights up automatically. That's pretty cool. No handle for me, wrists though, for everyone. Further down, there are also diamonds in this area, and the finish is quite pleasant to touch, not hard. Then we find the window and left, right mirror controls. And is this to fold the mirrors? Is it to fold the mirrors? Exactly, small stitches here, so there, which is a real stitch, and large door bins. And normally, here I think we should be able to fit a large bottle. To open the engine hood, pull twice like in a BMW. Fortunately, the gas catch unlocks here. Press here to open it, don't force it. I like the height of the lights, a small detail missing in many cars. It's this place here, it's this here, it's super cool. To store your small items and shopping cart tokens and your little memos there, right there. And on pictures, which also spin around here, which come across from this side there, we have a nice vertical dashboard finish Double screen, as we find on almost all black cars. Was it Mercedes who launched it with the double screen like that? I admit that having ventilators everywhere now remains a plus. To the left and to the right, everything is symmetrical. I think that this we could shift down there and it would be quite easy. So screen. On the right, we can modify the data about the energy wires, engine, electric engine, battery, and wheels. We can have some information here. We can customize this screen a little bit on the left here. These are the driving aids, as we know at MG, so the regulator or the adaptive regulator with centering of wood. If I want to disable the automatic steering wheel, I stay pressed on this key to disable it. A voice command, a favorite key that I can adjust. Here, for example, it's set to have regeneration on 2 levels, 1 or 2. Strong or very little on this side. Answer the phone, change the screens that we have here with the radio, for example, a favorite button. And turn up the radio volume on this side. And change the radio information, for example, change the station. Even. I have here, we know double but flat steering wheel, the small perforations on the steering wheel. It's quite pretty, frankly, in a quite friendly environment. On this side, headlight flasher, active automatic system off. We have the automatic full headlights. So here we can see it right here. And on this side, we will have the windshield wipers with the back on the small button right here. The start button for the car is on the right with the start button, a touch screen. This side has the familiar MG menus, updated with new features like global positioning system and small widgets, similar to the ZS. On this side, it's because it's more fluid, but it's okay. And then, in any case, we have all the climate, navigation, music, radio, video options. Of the 360 and 360 cameras that I can have like this, or by adjusting side by side. And I admit that this is the first time I've seen this. An ultra wide angle like this on the side, it's pretty nice. To also see my wheels right here, you can see it moving a little bit, and the rear wheel located there. That's pretty nice. I admit that I had never seen this before. Apple, CarPlay and Android Auto are all great connected apps, providing quick access to the top features. Screen brightness. The microphone, phone and voice volume settings, as well as Bluetooth shortcuts, are easily accessible here. To disable the Small Business Administration, it's rather good to have that. However, I would have liked to have the shortcuts to disable the driving aids right here. By the way, to disable these driving aids, I go there to the little button here. I go to MG Pilot and disable all the bothersome features, such as speed limit recognition, to stop the constant alerts. And then even a little bit lower. Fatigue monitoring, it's to disable the intrusive camera over there. And driver distraction, that needs to be disabled every time because you're going to get annoyed quickly. Then we have the driving. 3 modes: comfort, normal and sport. The normal mode is good regenerative braking on only 2 positions and not 3, as usual, on electric cars, weak or strong power source. Do I want the car to run in 100% electric or in hybrid electric vehicle stability control? That, we leave the steering. Do I want it to be in normal, comfort or sport? That brings a little more firmness to the steering. The normal mode is fine. Should I put it in towing mode? The amenities, so that's the settings. Do I want the seat to move back or not? The front fog lights here, rear at this location. Welcome light. Do I want it to stay on when I come, or the same when I get home? Do I want it to stay on until I get back home? We have a few settings here. If you're interested, I'll make a detailed video of these screens one day, and here are the customizable buttons. AMG Pilot with all the driving aids and ICA set to maximum. I'm not sure what GRAP is. I think it may be poorly translated because it sounds very strange. So, these are the screens that I'm going to have here. I can customize. Do I want to have, for example, integrated global positioning system here? The large integrated global positioning system is visible in the center with side menus. Or do I want something with driving aids? Well, I must admit that I like the simplicity of this one, with menus that will just appear on this side. Instrument immersion mode, the center displays. I can also choose what I want with the tire pressures, etc. Activating or deactivating is possible if needed. That's all accumulated from the start. Voila! The car's systems, including the air conditioning and jelly, can be activated or deactivated based on the current statuses. Since I'm stopped, I have 4 kilometers of autonomy left. You can see it here to complete my electric test. And I absolutely wanted to make my video of a whole because it's starting to rain and I wanted to be sure I could do it for you. Luckily I took some beautiful pictures by the sea for the intro. It's so beautiful. There's a little lion, which we recognize here. The shortcuts with the home key if I want a shortcut, if turn on the air conditioning or turn off the air conditioning. Warning of ambulances ahead, rear obstacles, that we saw a cup holder here with behind. We also find USB type ports, which is a bit of a shame since they're starting to get a little old. And the cigarette lighter socket, double door cup holder, that's the gearbox forward reverse. It displays that and it also lowers me. Rear view, not bad. The parking button here, drive by pulling towards me. I have downhill control assistance, I have the parking brake. I also have auto hold here, which will allow me not to have to brake when I am stopped. An induction charger light. Here it's a corridor with the overstitching that we also find on this part that goes up. And it's the same with that. It's slightly padded for the knee that comes on the side. There, we put good ones. You completely forgot the good ones. Who likes this? I admit that this is the key that looks like this, like on the other MG EHS. Yes, the key is on this side. The seats didn't want to show because I jumped in the car because of the rain. The headrests, look at the softness of this head. Thank you MG for making soft headrests. I need comfort in my life. The seats, same thing, with small perforations all over. Also stitching, which matches the colors found in the interior. Here they are quite comfortable, and look, even one looked at this, it's good. I like it when it's comfortable. The glove box that is located here, that I press. Large glove box. Look at the small bottle there, and the large bottles would fit without too much trouble. I'm going to put them there. No, it's the guard, as I'll take care of the speaker down there. There are 8 in this car. It is now more important to go on the road. See the autonomy of this car in 100% electric, knowing that I have 4 left, and by the way, look at the full of the car. 497 miles shown in gasoline. It might be slightly less since we're on downhill roads, but this already gives you an idea of over 100 kilometers. I would need to take this car back for a longer term to really test what it gives. Well, we're going to start by exhausting the battery, then we do some finished and then finished battery, totally discharged. Let's go. Welcome aboard this new HSG. Charge the battery to 100%. It's at 99%. It indicates 99 kilometers of autonomy. It's given for 100 kilometers. We are in Corsica. We will see what it gives. But it's a bit of all types of roads, unfortunately, even if there is no highway at 130. This gives an idea of daily use. Air conditioning at 21 degrees C. As usual, the weather is nice today. First thing to do in this car, it's to disable all the speed limit aids, recognize the limits. We disable the new law. We needed a feature like Renault's, where double-clicking a button disables everything. I can't wait for the manufacturers to get on with it because it's a bit annoying. I set off for a big loop, so we're going to test the consumptions and see how many miles we're actually going to do. In short drive, it activates, and I forgot the most important thing, car here, drive raised. To be able to drive in 100% electric and not consume battery, my goal is to give you a little bit of 100% electric. So, we're going to see if we can maintain these announced 99 kilometers, and then we'll see what it gives. Empty battery in terms of consumption for people who are going to use it in different ways. We can use it in finished version, in hybrid, where it will manage itself, and for example, on roads where it's going to run a little faster, it will switch back to hybrid. So, from time to time thermal, as I was explaining with this box, which is really quite peculiar. We have some small door down, quite domed. The suspension is not bad when we get to this container. It's rather pleasant. On a slightly degraded here, it's rather pleasant. The seats are comfortable, a nice welcome. We still have a big speed bump to... The front looks good. The back is a bit firmer where it hits. If I go a little faster, a bit more firmness at the back. Because we are supposed to put high loading volume, we try to load it in the trunk to go on vacation. 3 adults in the back, so it's normal. The back is always a bit firmer. I hear the pedestrian noise a little bit, so I don't know if it comes slightly into the cabin or not, but I hear it. In any case, there is a small noise, even. In 100% electric, plenty powerful enough, as I was telling you, thanks to these 2 engines. So, we have the side, and we have the generator side. Finally, We really have a lot of quite complex stuff with this car, but it makes it something quite interesting. We don't have the total combined power as announced. It's 262 horsepower in reality. We almost never have them, except when the engine is really in addition. But since we only have a kind of 5th and 6th gear, well, it's not in the bottom of 5. We are going to look for the power of a car that we are going to use on a daily basis. Most of the time, I'm at 30 kilometers per hour in the city. It's very pleasant, it's well soundproofed, we have windows that are quite thick, so it's not doubled, but rather pleasant. It picks up well enough. If I need, I have recovery on several levels that I can adjust. Go down here. There. Basically, we have an electric car for everyday use, with 100 kilometers. That normally leaves plenty to do, especially when we are in a mountainous area here. Because every time we're going to go down, well, we're going to recharge a little bit and recreate a little bit of energy when we're twice as much. On the other hand, a thermal car, when we go down, we don't recharge, we consume 0, but we don't recharge. The advantage of having a large battery is that we can recharge significantly, allowing us to recharge here thanks to this feature. For example, we live at the top of the mountain, I charge at the bottom, we get to the top, and when I go down, I will recharge more than what I will normally consume. By playing well with precisely this pedal and by managing, let's go, there, we move to 70. Here I put all my wings to driving, level 2 driving, lane centering, adaptive cruise control, always in 100% electric. It's very quiet in the cabin, we don't have any noise, it goes back to 50, I regenerate a little bit. Every time I brake, I go back to 50, I press the little steering wheel button, and it locks at 50. Then we can use the joystick to adjust speed, moving it up or down. We hear very, very, very slightly what's happening outside, but that's all. It goes to 80, I leave the thumb up, it goes up by 5s, it relaunches to put them at 80, 80, 85. It goes gradually. I'm in normal mode, we have sport mode, you can go faster at 80. We have a road that is quite old, you know, it's the tar, a little bit red. Honestly, the noises come up very, very little. It's quite pleasant and good in the car. The road, it goes up a little bit, it's the end of the little boss, and honestly, it's quite pleasant. It makes you want to hit the road, but comfortably, there's room inside. Rear view, we have good visibility, it's pretty good. For the moment, I have a consumption over 10 kilometers at 17.3 kilowatt hours per 100. So, because that's what it gives. If we do the calculation with the size of the battery, in your opinion, how far do you think we can go? I'm quite curious, I like doing these tests. So I went up to the top of the mountains. I had a consumption of 30 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. Quite high, but let's not forget that it was uphill, so that makes a difference. Now, I'm going down to continue on the mountain roads, so I'm not going straight back to the sea, because we started by the sea, and now I'm going down to 21. We have quite winding roads here, for example. In a bend like this, we had a long curve, we feel that the car leans a little bit, that we have a suspension still a little bit soft. It's not the car that wants to be the most dynamic, it's cool. It's a car that drives like a good father or a good mother. Clearly we want to take it easy, we don't want to rush with it. When we are a little bit of support on the line, but we quickly hear the rolling noises on the tires, it holds the road. I haven't tried the sporty version yet, but actually it doesn't make you want to go fast, it makes you want to drive like this, at a normal pace, but without necessarily forcing it. Like this, it's quite pleasant. You can feel it lean a little bit when there are sequences. You can feel that if I do this, it's a little bit soft, but it's a family car, so why not? After, it's not made for dynamics considering the weight. Fichevs are rarely the cars made for that. It leans a little bit. I have a bit of support in the seats, which are still comfortable seats after all. It's quite pleasant, but I prefer to set my cruise control and then just drive like that. However, see here, when I turn here, for example, I knew it would go, for example, at 80. She preferred to slow down. In fact, it's according to the steering angle. She will say to herself, for example, she slows down, and the braking is a little bit strong, I find, when she slows down like that in a turn. To like it to be maybe a little bit more progressive, so I get to exactly 50 kilometers. Achieved from the start, 0 liters of gasoline consumed. I wanted 100% electric. It kept going up, it goes down, it goes back up. The mountains, Corsica, in short, beautiful landscape here. The Corsicans, frankly, you have one of the most beautiful places in the world. For me, I really find the average to be 21. For now, we are still in the heights, so we have not completely descended to sea level. To get an idea then, 50 kilometers completed, and it tells me 31 kilometers remaining, which would make me 80 kilometers in place. And 99? That's still 20 kilometers difference, but knowing that, well, we're not sure of the flat road. But on one hand, it can compensate for the fact that there is no highway here and that we are between 70 and 90% of the time. There are some small woods, 90, most 70, 80s. See phases like that, where it goes a little bit faster, because people don't necessarily drive with 80s on the road at 80s. Here, because we're not on a rally sometimes, it's a little bit tighter. Anyway, I continue like this. Don't hesitate to put in the comments how much you estimate the autonomy for the moment, and put a little comment to see in a few minutes. If you were right, here I am arrived at owning a water, I don't know. We were on the other side, towards the airport. We crossed the mountains, back to sea level. There, I see a ferry right in front of me. So this time, I went down to 15. 1 of consumption and exactly 60 kilometers, 00, and 39 kilometers displayed on this side. So if we are on average at 15, well, that means we will be able to do the 100 kilometers. Here, it's back to the climb. I'm going back to the other side towards Porto Vecchio. I still have 74 kilometers left, but 39 kilometers here of autonomy. So that would make me well, but 99 if I add all that up, rather not bad. Up to now, it's as if we had taken small country roads or city roads, what in urban. I was about 14 at the time, which seems reasonable to me. So, as you can see, when it goes up and down, it's not necessarily a bad thing for hybrid cars. Rechargeable batteries like these can store more energy than small buffer batteries in hybrid cars. We're going to go through a tunnel here. Automatic lighting, automatic lights on, of course. Inside, no ambient lighting, something very simple. There, as we can see, the insulation is not bad inside. We have automatic windshield wiper, in short, everything, then standard. Let's say now, who comes to this kind of car? A small 0 to 100 in electric, it starts gently, it rolls 60, 300, 10, 80, 10, and 10, 0. To see it, it's something quite linear, progressive. It's not violent, but it's enough. We can see it for every day. It will be more than enough. They have me, who has done quite a few winding little roads since earlier. I can tell you it's like earlier. It's not a dynamic behavior. And maybe in terms of climate, we should switch to something a bit more high-end. What I feel that it opens, well, it's not a feeling, it does open quite easily. So the first thing to do, my opinion changed quickly. It would be better for the tires to have a little more grip in Cali. It tends to lean and open anyway. Still not bad in the sign, but that's why we'll drive it like a good little grandpa and calmly. It's not made to be sporty, a very small point on consumption. I'm at just 81 kilometers right now, which just passed the moment I wanted to say, and I have left. 13 kilometers still to cover, knowing that it has been going up since earlier without going down again, so we would still be getting closer. Still not far from his 100 kilometers. You know the chain, always a little bit of the way. No matter the car, taste the comfort, it's degraded, there are a few holes. It remains relatively comfortable as a car. Well, you saw it at the beginning. I currently have 3 kilometers left. I'm going to turn the air conditioning back on. Let's go. I like it. When I stop, my client hears to the right. I have the screen that shows me what's happening between the two wheels, so it allows me to see if I'm not going to scrape a sidewalk or something like that. She has no more battery. I changed the battery here, but forgot to change the one over there, so I thought it wasn't working. I might change my camera soon, also buy some microphones, because a lot of you are asking me to. It's quite expensive. But I'm telling you, I might invest, because at some point I'm going to please you a little bit more. On the other hand, I appreciate these microphones for allowing me to hear what's happening in the car a bit more clearly. Even those with cinema phones, it still makes quite a lot of mass. I have 1 kilometer left and I've passed the 100 kilometer mark in 100% electric. On mountain roads, when the car goes downhill, it recharges the battery a bit. But for now, I average 15.5 kilowatt hours. 100 kilometers is reasonable. And for now, it's finished. I say finished, but it hasn't started yet. Thermal engine at 80, so I'm going to put 80. I was at 70, 80. At the bad side, but the thermal engine still hasn't started. No, but she drove. There it is. The engine just started. It is currently running at 1500 revolutions per minute. I've covered 101.4 kilometers in 100% electric, with an average of 15.6 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. So we have a gross battery of 21, so a little less, so it must be 18, 19 net with the Riggin. So we consumed more, but we regenerated. So we recreated, I think we are a little bit more. In the end, you would have liked to see what it looked like flat. Let me know if you're interested in seeing that. But here, the meter here indicates 7,827 kilometers in thermal with a full tank. So we'll see what it gives, knowing that this car currently, it's not there. It currently 5,900 kilometers. They haven't reset the trip from the start. Over 5,900 kilometers. 82 hours where it ran. This car with an average consumption at 6 liters 6, which is not necessarily unreasonable. So what we're going to do this time is reset from the beginning. I stay on the button and we've reset. So this time we're off again. In HV without battery, when the battery is at 0, there will always be phases like the current one. Right now I'm braking to get you back to 50 to enter the city. It regenerates energy, it becomes a traditional hybrid, so that's what it looks like a little bit. What you need to know is that we can also use the HV mode when we're going to be with the battery to consume even less and let the car manage its own consumption. The best option depends on the need and is in the city. Or to drive 100% electric or push, depending on your daily use. It can be good to drive 100% electric daily, even if you have bits at 110 to 130. Knowing you'll drive under 62 miles in a day, tell yourself, I drive 100% electric, upbeat. And for long journeys, say, well, I might have 200 kilometers to do. I'm going to let the car manage, and at least for short trips or moments, it won't go very fast. Well, the car, it will be electric at that time, but right now, for example, I'm still in electronic. Battery, but at the city entrance, there's always a little left due to regeneration. Even when the battery indicator reaches 0, there will always be 10% left. Batteries don't like being completely drained. So there's always a little bit of energy left in its cells to be able to do little bits like this. And crossing cities, for example, is quite pleasant. All right, I'll resume as soon as it rolls a little bit when we're in thermal mode. Really? And now how much do I have left? 30 kilometers to go before I reach my final point, and I'll give you a little idea of the consumption over these next 30 kilometers. I'll put back a previously removed piece and recharge the battery to 100% to get an idea, knowing we have no more battery left. So now we're doing a little bit in hybrid while I still have some battery left to see how it manages. But it also prioritizes the electric part most of the time. In any case, we're going to drive off in elec at a higher speed. However, it'll say, even if you want elec, I'm going to try to prioritize the thermal in order to have the best efficiency. But she already told me, and you focus on driving, which is a big camera filming me. If you enjoy conversing with your passenger while driving, for instance, she looks at the road. In fact, you always have to keep your eyes on the road. It's not a bad thing to look at the road. I like it. You still look at me a minimum when I talk to you, but these cameras, the fact that it has become almost mandatory. I like it. Can you imagine having stuff like that on a motorcycle? One day, they'll put them on for sure. It seems like you're not looking in front of you. For now, we are at 50 kilometers, very pleasant hour. I see that it's the battery that's powering. It's rather good, doesn't? Under these conditions, it's almost all the time, Ilak. As long as you have a little bit of battery or you don't need to drive hard. Here, it's a 90 road. We'll see what it gives. Here, I'm driving normally, without accelerating too much. No engine started. I'm at 90. At 90, the car thinks, hey, I still have a lot of battery, I'll let it. So here, I'll do the 100% elect test as well. See what it gives at 90. Very pleasant too. The engine has started, I thought. I didn't even hear. The engine has started. He's doing a mix of electric and thermal. I had no idea that the engine had just started there. Are you hiding? At no point could I hear it slow down. It regenerates. The thermal engine is always running. Do I hear it or not? Super quiet. I don't feel like I can hear it. Because right now, it's more useful for powering the generator than transmitting a report. In fact, it's only at high speed. It will basically be like a sixth gear that will work with this engine, so we will use it very, very little. Hearing it, if I really focus, I can hear this little engine running, because right now it's just the engine that's powering. Okay, there. I was at a steady speed, so it was only engaged on the engine. At 75. Look there, I'm going at a steady speed, nice and flat, and there, it's just the engine running to drive the rows. Okay, it's quite interesting to find the balance. On one side we have the power, and on the other side we have the RPMs. At 90, I was at 1800 RPMs, under 2000 RPMs. So that's also why the engine is training, for example. Here, we have slowed down. Here, I switch back to everything, and the exit's pretty good. I have the adaptive regulator, which follows what is happening in front of the car that manages. So sometimes she loses a little bit when we are in tones like that, what she wants to quickly anticipate. We often have cameras and radars, try to fix quite enough. In phase 2, they don't take into account the steering angles too much. Well, we'll see, it's a little bit different with the weather. The same one that we need, that we have no one with the parties. 0 to 100 in thermal. The patina a little bit in 45, 57, 70, 80, 90 and 100. It remains correct. It's not wow, because in the end, this cumulative power, we're going to expect something that's more wow. But as I say, good car for a good dad, for a family. So right now, I'm driving a hybrid. I added a little bit of distance to my loop. I'm going to go back through Bonifacio to go up to Porto Vecchio. I told myself, because it wasn't enough and it didn't really give a real idea of consumption, knowing that it goes up and it goes down a little bit. So I wanted to follow the coast because I know it's lower and it stays flatter. Badly hit, I still have a little bit of rut in that corner. But the weather has really changed. On the other side of the island, it was incredible weather. On this side, you can see it's different. So I'm still trying to understand how this engine really works, so that all these engines, all these technologies. The goal is to avoid asking too many questions and trust that it's going well. For instance, I'm currently at 70 and 2,300 revolutions per minute. So the impression that the engine is running, it powers the generator. The current speed is 2,400 revolutions per minute at 74. Then, in my opinion, it should power the electrical side. Because in terms of feeling, I don't know if the gear is engaged. There, it goes up to 2,800 revolutions. He shifted at 90, then I returned to 1,800 revs. So I have the impression that we have more of a 4 and a 6 rather than a 5 and a 6. In terms of feeling, it's still raining a lot, but in any case, the engine remains super well insulated in its compartment, here at the front. Should I talk about the consumption right away or not? I'll discuss everything at the end, when it's more interesting. Currently, I'm only at 16 kilometers. Little info go on, little spoiler, 5.7 liters per 100 at the moment. So wait there, I hear it a little bit. It has 2,300 tours. I hear it very slightly. It's raining a little bit. If there hadn't been any noise at all and it was dry, we might have had a little presence afterwards. At 2,500 revolutions per minute, like almost all cars, we hear an engine running. Amusingly, sometimes even if I let go, this time I think it had recharged sufficiently. Sometimes, even when I let go, I brake a little bit, the engine continues to run a bit to power and recharge. Maybe a little bit, it's good then. Conclusion. With this new MG EHS rechargeable hybrid, we managed to do so 100 kilometers in electric to see what that would give. But it gives an idea, like the 15, that's about what there was in town. So we can say that if we do urban, we would get to the theoretical 100 kilometers announced, which are in the end real. Under the conditions, if you live in Corsica, you will do 100 kilometers with this car, or mountain area. And that's where I just arrived. 43.5 in Kilom in 43 minutes, average at 60 kilometers per hour. So I only took small roads through the village, small country road, at 70-81 points, the 90. But like 3 kilometers, and I have an average of 5.2 this time, so on 3 kilometers. So what they were announcing earlier, basically the 6.6, it doesn't seem unreasonable to me. For a slightly more mixed use, 5 liters 2 for roads at 70 to 80. Maybe can do a little bit better, knowing that we had more battery. So we still have to carry the weight of this additional battery. Like it's big 20 and 1 kilowatt hours, it's a big package, the gas reserve announces. 862 kilometers this time. But so, if I drive at 5 liters, 2 per 100 kilometers, and I have 55 liters... By the way, the calculation X10 and very fresh, and 1,000 kilometers. Theoretically, yes. We only do this kind of road conditions with more battery, but the goal is to recharge 100% of its battery. So, who is this car for? Basically, it's someone who wants a fairly comfortable car, rather spacious, with room in the back for the kids, a decent trunk. Let's say me, I would have liked maybe to have the hybrid version more than we find in the MG3 or the MG EHS, which would have seemed not unreasonable in this car. The 272 horsepower, personally, at no point did I feel them. This figure did not really take them into account. For me, we were going 180 something, but at no point did we have 262 horsepower. We didn't try it on the highway. I would have liked to see what it was like on the highway as well. It's a good everyday car, spacious, comfortable, dynamic level. It's not crazy. It's a car that really wants to be rather calm, but on the other hand, we have comfort, we have driving aids, etc. It's not bad. It's contemporary, with screens, global positioning system, CarPlay, music and all that. Rather correct on the inside. I would have liked maybe, as it's a more family car, a panoramic glass roof. Here, it could have been a little plus. In short, it remains a pretty nice car to drive coolly with a very good electric range. Let's see what it should, as I say, under a little more real conditions, like me. I usually do it in the Parisian regions for comparison, rather than going up and down, which allows us to recharge a lot in the centers when coming down from the mountain. If you like the video like this, the MG Cyberster is coming soon. This car looks sensational. I can't wait to try it, to see the feedback from colleagues, because right now, I have all the French press coming with me to join me, who have tried it. Today, I tried the environmental health and safety, and we did vice versa. In short, subscribe, ask questions in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Go, bye!